Hi folks, this is Don Meissner with Rust Eddy with the North Country Fishing Report. And on another show we had talked about the tremendous joy, the grace of catching muskies. But we don't really talk about how we catch them. And I will tell you that, for all the TV shows and radio stuff that I have done over the years, I'm not anything special. And I will tell you that in most of the specifics of fishing, Rust has become much better than me. And let's talk today, Rust, about the specifics of how to be a successful muskie fisherman on our waters. We're not talking the St. Lawrence. We're not talking about going out in a big boat and trolling for hours with gigantic lures. And we're talking about just taking bass tackle. But you've proven to me over and over again that one of the greatest skills a person can develop and the tools they can use to catch muskies is to be able to cast accurately. And you're a terrific caster. You can put that lure right where you think that muskie's going to lie every time. So part of it is the rig that you use. You don't have your hook exposed, so you know darn well if you cast onto the shore, you're not going to get snagged. You're going to be able to pull it back off the branches or whatever you cast on. I guess that's a big deal to you.
Well, I always tell everyone that as a beginner that I take out muskie fishing, if you're not getting tangled up on the bank occasionally, you're not doing it right. And that's another story for another day because I learned that lesson again recently. However, here the answer to your question is a little bit, it's really more about muskie behavior than it is anything else. First of all, spend a lot of time on the river and just be patient and take your time and paddle and just learn the river and the fish behavior. And the key to knowing where to find them is to know their behavior. And they eat frogs and other terrestrial life that jumps into or falls into the river near the bank. Now they also eat other fish and they can be found in deep holes. So you never want to forget the middle and you never want to forget the deep holes. But if you get a few feet, 10, 15, 20 feet tops away from the bank and just every 8 or 10 feet cast and land your lure near the bank. And here's the beauty of muskie fishing, because you can do that repeatedly and you get into a rhythm that really puts your mind and your soul at rest, and it's really peaceful. And then all of a sudden, if you put it in the right spot and you get lucky and there's that fish, it just explodes with just the most amazing aggressive violence that you could even imagine, and that peaceful, serene existence that you were just enjoying, it's gone. It is absolutely gone. It disappears. And then, I mean, it's just, I'll tell you what, the thing that, to me, that distinguishes muskie fishing and the beauty of it and the mystique of it from any other kind of fishing is the visual aspect. I mean, when that muskie explodes on your lure, it's just extraordinary. And to see it happen is just unbelievable. And then there's so many different ways that muskie will appear. If you're not really, really close to it, if you're just within a few feet and the muskie might be aggressive, then it's going to shoot out from its lair. And it might be 5 or 10 feet away and you can see a rocket-like wake coming right at your lure, and then the explosion.
Like a torpedo.
Like a torpedo. And then the explosion occurs. Other times, the muskie might appear more curious than aggressive, and you see the wake behind the lure and it comes right to the boat, and if you're lucky enough and you don't spook it away, you can drop your tip and make a figure 8. I've caught them many times, just dipping the tip of my rod and making a figure 8. Sometimes that doesn't work, but they'll still follow. I've had muskies follow the figure 8 just repetitively until they get kind of bored and swim away. It's just fascinating, and the different modes of attack and the different styles, not styles, but the different modes of attack just are extraordinary. And having each one be so visual is really what makes muskie fishing more amazing than any other kind of fishing I have found.
Well, you also just use surface single hook, small baits. They aren't really big, the size people think they need to fish for muskies.
Look, I see a lot of people fishing for muskies with long double, treble hook muskie baits. If you go online and look what they recommend, they're just, and I get it, because muskies feed on big fish. A muskie can eat a fish a third of its length. So a 45-inch muskie can eat a 15-inch bass. That's extraordinary.
And they do.
And they do. And that's why they will hit those big lures. But I'll tell you what, guys, they will hit the little ones.
Yeah, they do.
And the little ones, listen, I use single hooks, and they're set up Texas style, and the tip is buried back in the plastic. These are like frogs or paddle tails that are no more than 3 or 4 inches long. And they both have either the legs vibrate, wobble on the top of the water and agitate, or the tail paddles, and that really attracts the fish. But the beauty of that is that you see the attack, and you might lose. Listen, single hooks, I'm going to admit that I lose a lot of fish on single hooks, but I don't mind at all. You catch many.
And
listen,
then
you catch many.
Because you have a single hook, you can reach down with your pair of pliers and don't have to net the fish or anything. You can reach down beside the boat and get your pliers on that thing and try to pull the lure out so we don't have to handle it. That's critical to you too.
I used to net them in the very early years, and I just realized, and I learned this by netting so many of them and seeing what happens to them. And when first of all, they fight you on the line while you're hooking them, while you're fighting them, and then when you get them in the net, then they even go more berserk, and they thrash, and they fight, and they roll, and then you get them all tangled up, and it's difficult then to get the hook out and then get them released. And
plus it's damaging them the whole time.
If you look at their fins, they turn bright red because all the blood flows to their fins, and they are just so stressed, and they're trying to escape. So I quit doing it, and I use single hooks. And 99 times out of 100, the hook is just caught right in the side of the mouth, and I can see the barrel of the hook. And if I tire the fish out enough, when I tire the fish out enough, it just gets a little bit docile by the side of the boat. I grab the barrel of the hook with needle nose pliers and pop it loose, and the fish swims away. And it's so much less stressed.
I know, it's incredible. And that's the joy of it for you. And you know, we didn't really get into the type of lures to use, so I guess we can keep that sort of your special secret. That
I can just tell you that if you're out there fishing for bass with smaller lures, those muskies will hit those lures.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Russ. Until next time, folks. This is Don Meissner and Russ Eddy with the North Country Fishing Report.